Jason. Today's episode of the Lee Summit Town Hall podcast is brought to the good people by Budget Blinds of Lee Summit.
Budget Blinds!
Jason, did you know that Budget Blinds is the place for people to go to for the signature series shades?
All hail our robot shade overlords.
Look, there are many, many reasons why you should start looking at the smart home features, but mostly because it's cool.
I gotta say, look, I recently got a somewhat smart home thing in my house, and I was highly skeptical, like in the process, and have delayed and kind of acted like the technology phobic old man that I'm probably getting closer to being every day. But I gotta say, this smart home stuff is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I gotta say, the ability to raise and lower, open and close, program your shades to do that stuff, to save energy, to increase the security in your home, to do all the things you want to do.
Make things safer for your children and pets.
Right. Absolutely fantastic as an idea. I get it. I get it now in a way that I didn't get it before. So I'm going to say this with all sincerity. All hail those robot shade overlords.
There you go. So if you are ready to make your home a smart home, head on over to our good friends, Budget Blinds of Lee Summit, right in downtown, the heart of our community. Today's episode is also brought to you by Feed Lee Summit. Hey, Jason, pre-COVID world, 6 to 8% of Lee Summit residents were food insecure.
I thought that world started on March 15th.
Well, you know.
No, the world ended on March 15th, and we're now picking up the pieces.
Right. Well, that's 6 to 8%. That equates to more than 6,000 men, women, and children in the Lee Summit community. And in this COVID pandemic area, the food needs have only continued to grow for Lee Summit families and senior citizens.
That is true. Responding to this need are the good folks at Sunrise Rotary. They are sponsoring their second annual Feed Lee Summit event, November 12th at 7 p.m. It's going to be a virtual event this year because COVID ruins everything, but it's going to be a great event anyway. They have a goal this year. It's a very aggressive goal of raising $100,000 to support those with food insecurity here in Lee Summit. And they think they can do this aggressive goal with your support.
And who will this benefit, you might ask? Let me tell you, it's going to benefit
the
big four: Lee Summit Social Services, Coldwater of Lee Summit, One Good Meal, and Meals on Wheels.
You got it. Feed Lee Summit started as empty bowls, which collected more than $250,000 over its years for our non-profit food providers here in the Lee Summit community. Last year, Feed Lee Summit, a little bit of a change in how it was structured and what it was doing. Their first event raised $40,000. So they're setting the bar high this year, but we think we can get there.
And they can meet that goal with your help. So join us for this important event on Thursday, November 12th. See feedls.org for more details and to register. Hollie Stuhlman, welcome to the Lee Summit Town Hall podcast. It's good to have you here.
Thank you, Nick Parker. Great to be here.
You and I don't get to talk much anymore. We used to get to talk about once a week when our kids were doing the Taekwondo together.
Yeah.
But they have both since decided Taekwondo was not for them.
Right.
Which I am a little sad, but my pocketbook is happier.
Yes, I know. I did like it, but they move on, I guess.
They move on. Well, I asked you to come on to this Friday episode as we preview the upcoming Lee Summit Arts and Culture Week, which is going to run October 9th through 18th. This is a new thing co-sponsored by the Lee Summit Arts Council, the Cultural Arts Department at the City of Lee Summit, and Lee Summit Tourism. It's cool. I currently sit. I'm as chair of the Lee Summit Arts Council. You are a former member of the Lee Summit Arts Council. I believe a former chair as well.
I am. Yes.
There we go. So I wanted to just do a little bit to talk about the arts in our community and lead up to this special event, which you can find more about at the city's website. Just look up Arts and Culture Week. And you, my friend, are a local artist. You do some pretty cool stuff. You have your art business name is beeunique, which is kind of fun. So let's just start here, Hollie. What kind of art do you do?
I do everything.
That's my favorite answer.
I know, right? So I would say mixed media. I do a lot of resin artwork. fluid artwork. And I do things like, a lot of DIY, kind of making garden art, stuff like that. So kind of, you name it. I think I've probably done it before.
Well, you are one of the ones. You are a downtown resident, and so if people know you and they know where your house is, they will see some of that garden art out there. And I think
Yeah.
like many people, my favorite part is the steps. What you did on the
Yes.
sidewalk leading up to your house.
Yeah. Blood, sweat, and tears are in those steps. Yeah.
Was that a well, first let's say this. Why don't you describe to people what you did
Okay.
to your steps on the sidewalk leading up to your
Yeah.
house? It's pretty
Well,
cool.
I've got concrete steps that lead up to my house. It was actually around this time of year, several years ago, I have mosaicked it all with a lot of cool, there's kind of some scenes in there, but it's a lot of broken porcelain and china, a lot of stuff from my grandmother is in there. So it's very, it's got sentimental value, but so I mosaicked the whole thing. I've got little handles that are sticking out in different areas. Some cool beads are in there, just some really neat stuff, but it is definitely a showstopper when people walk by. So I love that. I love that people just kind of stop and take a look and appreciate art. So yeah, that's kind of.
You said it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and my initial question was that one of those home projects where you get about halfway into it, you're like, why am I doing this?
Yes. Well, yeah, so I always just jump in. I don't prepare. I'm not a measure person before I cut. I just do it. So it was just, I didn't have everything broken up before I started. So it was just a lot of work, and I don't like to wear gloves when I do certain things because I just like that hands-on, getting in there. So yeah, working with concrete, and it was just a long project. It was just several steps, and then just smoothing everything out and making sure, a few layers of that concrete in there. And it took a little while. I could have done like a day, but it wasn't.
You said you like to do a lot of fluid art, and you
Yes.
work with resin. Can you this is an audio podcast. I mean, you can
Yes.
watch
So
the
you need
video at
visuals,
Linkley
right?
Summit or on the
Yeah.
YouTube, but I think for anybody listening, can you kind of describe what you mean there by fluid art?
Yeah. Well, so I am a self-taught artist. So I've done art or just creating things since I was itty bitty. It was just always something I loved to do. I'm not a sketch artist. I'm not a paintbrush type of person. So fluid art is, I use, it's called alcohol ink, or I use resin, or acrylics. I use just a mix of things, and it's fluid. So when it's, in that fluid shape, it takes its own, it's got a mind of its own. So you just put it on paper that does not absorb. Um, and it just you just manipulate it in different ways.
Do you control? Do you try and control where it goes? I mean, when you say you
Sometimes,
manipulate, like how much
well, like
how much I guess of your own focus and will are you putting into it?
well, it just depends on kind of what I have that vision of. Sometimes I don't even have a vision and I'm just like letting it do its thing. But like if I'm doing it on, it's called Yupo paper. So that's one of the methods that I use. So if I put it on the paper, I'll pick up the paper and move it all around with this fluid kind of all over. And then I'll kind of, I can kind of guide what I want it to do. Like if I want to do an abstract flower type of thing. So I kind of move the paper around, and it's mixed with alcohol so it will dry. So as it dries, it just kind of, it's really cool. It's a really cool process.
And you use not just paper, right? You've done some things on tiles,
Yes.
and you've got. If people are watching the video of this, which
Yeah.
again, the videos at linktaleesummit.com or on our YouTube channel, but it's behind you right now are some of the pieces that you've done if they want to see. But
Yeah.
you do
Yeah.
different base materials.
Yeah, I do functional art. I do, they are tiles. There's a mix of, resin on the tile. Those are actually a really hot item that people buy for gifts. just like a set of coasters. And they're just all different kinds. I mean, some of them are very detailed. I have some bees on there. But like I said, that's very meticulous process to get something so detailed and have it cooperate with you. You have to use itty bitty tiny, sometimes I will use a brush for things like that. But it does take a very long time.
Are you more intentional with your manipulation then on those kind of projects than like you were just talking about?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you have kind of some specific imagery in your mind that you're trying to create?
I do. Yes. Well, I do a lot of custom work. So a lot of people are like, I've got these pillows. I just redid my living room. Can you do something with these pillows or that, and I'm like, okay, sure. So I'll take colors from that. And like I've done things where I've mimicked the pattern in the pillow. So I can do things like that. And I do like it when people are like, I need reds and oranges. Can you do something? I'm like, sure. I've done, I've kind of blown up a pattern on some coasters before for someone, just, by hand. But yeah, I can control what I want it to do, but the fluid, it's not going to be like a oil painting, a very skilled oil painter, like it's not going to be that perfect. So.
You said you're a self-taught artist and you've just been doing it since you were young. What do you remember what the attraction was? What first kind of got you started doing it?
Yeah, well, I don't refer to myself as an artist because I know I really respect that. And I know people go to school for these things. I just like to make things. And I'm always interested in how things work. So that's kind of where my mind steps in. And it all goes back to probably my dad. When I was little, he would work on cars. And I know this sounds really strange mixing it with art, but I just loved watching him do things, and he can make anything. He's like MacGyver. So that's kind of how the whole art, I told you that earlier that I don't do one type of art because I always like to do different things. I jump around. Because I always like the fluid art. I'd like to see how it works. And then I'll jump over to some other form and see how that works. So that's kind of where it all started, I think. Just kind of learning how things work together, different mediums work together. So yeah, I would say my dad probably kicked that off. Transformed into art.
We were talking offline a little bit before we actually started the interview, and you had mentioned that you took a break during these COVID times that we're in. You weren't really focused on doing art to sell, but also you said that the art's kind of an escape.
Yes.
For you. So is it just, do you find yourself just kind of go disappear into whatever it is you're tinkering with?
Yeah, I get my music on and just kind of, got me some wine and just kind of, it's really an experiment. Every time I do something is really an experiment. And that's what I like about it. I'm like, ooh. And then some things I just don't like, and then I'll have to step away. Like some of the huge paintings, or I wouldn't call them paintings, but some of the huge pieces of the fluid art that I do, I can spend days on, and I'll have to just step back. But it's a very therapeutic process.
Now I'm curious there. You can step away and come back the next day. I have a completely different personality and I do some little creative things on the side just to keep my brain moving and to avoid reading news and social media, right, which will drive us all crazy. But I have to finish the project.
Oh,
and I'm that way with books too. If it's a good book, I will finish the book. So
no, Nick.
I don't know how you do that.
I cannot finish a book. I like to buy books. I love to buy books. I have a whole bunch of books. I like books. I don't read them. I might read a few pages, but I just don't have time to sit still and, but when you said that you like to finish one thing, I've always got several things, and it works for me. Like I said, I will jump from a big fluid art piece, and then I'll jump over and do resin and make it's like a tray. A big resin, like that you have handles on it, like a serving tray. And that's just solid resin. So I'll jump over to do something like that. And these things are all over my house because resin is quite toxic. So you have to wear like a the mask that people are wearing now. Like
You live in a hazmat house.
I do. So I have to be very, I'm very cautious about that and what's in my, do a lot of things outside. So yeah, I'm all over the place, Nick. I've got things going on, a lot of projects.
It's fun. I'm curious this too. So you do a lot of these fluid things that, there's really not an end game picture, right? I mean, you're just kind of seeing what
Right.
happens when you do this and figuring out. And I get that because I'm not a planner either. I don't measure before I cut very often. I just want to go, okay, what happens if I put this here and I draw this here or whatever? And like I said, though, I don't like to stop. I want to see where it goes and what that finished thing is. But here's my thing. My problem is I will keep tweaking and keep editing when I should tell myself to stop.
Yes.
So how are you there on the self-editing?
Well, it depends. And I will tell you that the fluid art is very forgiving. So I feel like even if I set out to have something in my head, how I want this to look, like say I'm trying to do a big abstract flower and it turns out to look like just a big abstract, just a bunch of blotches of paint or fluid art everywhere. I'll just, okay, let's go that direction then. I kind of just let it go. But then there's some things where I just get so frustrated. I'll have all these tiles in front of me and I've got them all painted. I'll just wipe them all clean and start over.
I think that's why I like the creative things I do that are on a computer is because then I can, I can Control Z.
Yes. Yeah.
I should go back 7 steps.
Yeah. Well, in fluid art, like I said, it's very forgiving. So you're not really wasting things. Right. So because the materials and supplies are not cheap. So you want to be careful and not, it's synthetic paper that you're using and you don't want to waste it.
Right.
And the panels, I have to do this work. It's not a canvas. I've got to do it on a very specific type of surface. And so it's like a wood panel that I do that work on. So you really don't want to waste that either. I'm like, I will repurpose this. I will repurpose somehow. So.
How long have you been doing the fluid art with the resins and the those kinds of paints and stuff?
I've probably been working with resin 20 years or so. And then the fluid art, again, with all these little things, I'll see something at Hobby Lobby or Michael's and be like, oh, what is this? And I'll just buy whatever I see and experiment. So the fluid art with the alcohol inks, probably about 3 years.
Do you like doing that kind of, I saw something, like using just whatever you see and that's inspiration? It's like, I think I can go do that, or I can do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of your inspiration?
Well, a lot of my inspiration, I mean, if I'm like in a doctor's office or something and I see like something that's glittery and sparkly on the wall, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. So yeah, I'll like.
You like shiny?
Yes, anything shiny. I'll be, I do like abstract art though. And there's another form that I'm starting to take up is cold wax and oil paint. That's a whole other thing, but it's a new one for me now too. So, I do get inspired by just anything bright and colorful. Nature's a huge thing. Butterflies, bees, anything colorful. I love color, bold colors.
Do you have a favorite color? There's a right answer to this question, by the way.
Well, and you know what? I would say, I don't know. Well, hot pink, I love hot pink, but a lot of my art is a lot of blues and greens. So, hot pink, maybe.
Now, my wife and I both of us like to always tell people our favorite color is green.
Okay.
However, we almost always buy things with blues and purples.
Okay. See, there's a thing, I don't know. It's just,
I don't know what it is.
I love it.
Like both of us will say, like, the snap decision, if somebody says, what's your favorite color? Would say green. We almost never do anything with green. So I think we've been lying to ourselves all
Well,
our lives.
yeah, that's what I was saying, because you made me think, because I'm like, I do like this, I would say hot pink, but I really, everything I do is kind of that blues, purples. I do greens as well. So you're making me reevaluate my thoughts here. Don't make me think too much.
Well, you know, that's the point of the show, actually, is to make you rethink everything in your
You
life.
are like, oh gosh.
Well, I want to ask you a little bit about Be Unique. You have, and I know this a little bit, but you have a little love affair with bees.
I do. I
You
do.
love bees. Where does that come from?
Well, so gosh, years and years and years ago. Well, I've always loved bees. Always loved bees. And I was, when I've had my brand for, well, 2003 is when I really got it kind of solidified, and started doing things with it and having my name on things and stuff like that. So it was clear back then when I guess made it official. But I remember that what would I not get sick of? Because people go through branding changes and all that good stuff. And I'm like, bees, I'll never not love bees. So that's kind of where it all started. I just have a thing for bees. They're just cute and they do great things. And, they're just fascinating little creatures. So that's where we got the Bee Unique.
I get it and I understand it, but I see a bee in the wild, and the first thing I think of is that thing's going to get me. It is out to get me.
Yes. That's what a lot of people do think. And people confuse them a lot with yellow jackets. That's another big one because, they fly pretty quickly. But then you got the big, fat, fuzzy bumblebees.
Right.
And those guys are referred to as flying pandas because they're really not going to hurt you. The males can't even sting. So when they're out and about doing their thing, they just want to pollinate and get them, flower to flower. Same with honeybees. Those honeybees that you see more than likely are the females. They're the worker bees, and they do have a stinger, but they die when they sting. So they don't really want to sting anybody if they don't have to, unless they feel threatened. So if you're like moving your hands around, they're not gonna come after you. So really, don't be afraid of the bees. They won't get you.
All of that makes perfect sense. But I see a bee, it's out to get me.
What do you?
I like pictures of bees.
Are you making it mad?
Probably. My mere presence can make many people angry. Well, and I don't know why it would stop at people.
Okay, well, give bees a chance.
I feel like that's a poster or a banner. Just give bees a chance.
Right.
Speaking of banners and signs, so on your street, there are about 5 different signs on the street where you live that people have. Be nice.
Yes.
Kind. So are you paying your neighbors to brand for you is my first question. And my follow-up to that would be, where did you get that genius idea?
Well, it was not even me. It was another neighbor, and I wish I knew her name. I can tell you after this podcast, but it is a woman. She's been featured on the news a few times. She makes positive signs, and they're all over Lee Summit. So my other neighbor knows her, and she said, Holly, I had these signs made for us for our street, and I did a bee theme in honor of you. Aww. So I really didn't have anything to do with that. But yeah, it was a great thing. And all the neighbors were all excited. And she's like, they're on my porch, come get them. So
that's cool. It is neat to just drive down that street or walk down that street when you're on a walk around the downtown area and you just see these signs and they are different than others that you see. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we have a great neighborhood. Everybody's looking out for each other all the time and helps each other out. So that's kind of the cool thing we did. We all got behind this and like, we need some positive, happy signs around here. So let's do it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about you. You mentioned that you do art for business too. Like you make money and you will sell things.
Right.
I know at least one local business has contracted with you to make some art to sell retail.
Mhm.
Um, what's that like in our community to try to get out there and make a little bit of money with your art?
Um, it's I love having it's a lot of people want to just add pretty things to their home, right? And local art, I think, is just a big thing. So it's really um, a way. Let me just say that anything I create, I mean, there's just a lot of passion behind anything I create. I just don't throw stuff, if I ever make anything for anybody, I want them to feel somewhat connected to it in a way, and really appreciate art and what goes into art. I'm just very passionate about art, as you know, because I was on the Arts Council for like 10 years. And I never ever mentioned anything about my personal art during that time at all, because that was not the purpose of me. I just wanted to try to do something good in the community, get kids involved in art, chalk walk, stuff like that. Um, so yeah, it's sharing my art and having it available for people. And again, it's that bright, colorful, unique. I think it makes people happy. And that's what they tell me when they do purchase it. So having it available at Kelly's Inspo in downtown Lee Summit, that's a way they can get to it. So I'm happy to share it.
What do you think? And let's see. So I'm not sure. Did I take your place on the Arts Council? Well, I think you went off around the same time I came in. Well,
Yes.
but
Uh-huh.
what I'm curious about here is so I've been 5 years now.
Oh, okay. Almost. Yeah, you got a ways to
Four,
go to catch
four or
up
five.
with me.
Well, no, well, we can't. We changed the rules.
Oh, you did.
two
Oh, yeah, yeah.
two
They
terms
did.
and two
You're
terms and
right.
you're done.
Oh,
And
oh,
I'm
really?
on my
Oh,
second term.
oh,
Um,
okay.
but what I'm curious as to as you look around the community, what do you see as far as growth, I guess, in our community, arts wise?
Well,
And I think all types of arts, right? We're talking about fine arts, which you do, performing
sure,
arts,
sure.
all these things. What have you noticed as far as the growth?
I mean, the Arts Council has kind of changed, hands a few times, right? So there was some restrictions on certain things when I was involved with it, and we couldn't do a whole heck of a lot. So public art was always my thing. So I do see there's public art now.
We
Um,
got it. It took a
I
long
know
time, but we got it.
did. So, I feel like we kind of helped maybe nudge things a little bit in that direction, um, when we weren't able to just go for it. So I am happy to see that is public art in Lee Summit. Because you look at Blue Springs and Roland Park and other areas, I'm like, why don't we have this? Why do we not have public art in places?
Right, right.
Because it makes people happy. It's a place you can go up to, take pictures, and I think it's great for the community. It's great for the economy. It's just a must have, and I hope we can keep this going with the art that we have in different places, and I'd like to see more of it all over the city.
Well, we're
um,
gonna.
okay, well, let's do it. Like, I want to see it like
Not everybody may know
in
it, but it's gonna happen.
okay, I want to see it all over, not just downtown. So yeah, I think that's awesome.
I
I
will
was
say this: I think for people that either have asked or been thinking about asking that question about why did we start with six
right.
sculptures there, because it was the easiest place to
Oh,
start.
of course, for sure, for sure.
I mean, that is the simple answer of why didn't we go start somewhere else in town? Because
No,
it was easy to put them there, and we really
yeah,
just wanted to get it going. It was
yeah,
time.
no, and I want people to know that there's a lot of work that kind of was behind all that, over the years.
Oh,
Something
years,
we've always wanted
years.
to do. Yes.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna brag on Arts Council here a little bit.
Sure.
The one of the best things we did was working with the city to create an actual cultural arts
Yes.
position inside City
Yeah.
Hall, where Glenda
Yes.
Masters was hired, and she's our liaison to staff, right, and
Yeah.
administrator for the Arts Council. But she also sits in City Hall. Well, she did. BC before Corona, sits in City Hall every day and thinks about the arts in our community and how to make it better and how to get
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
involved and engaged in it. So that, I think, was the last thing that had to happen for us to finally get
And
get a project like these sculptures done.
you know how many years we spent talking about having someone like her hired?
Yeah, right.
You know
Exactly.
how many times we rewrote the application for that? So way back, I told you I was on the Arts Council for 10 years. So, you know, we've always visioned this. So this is awesome that she has a position and she's there and she's getting stuff done. So I'm so excited. That's great.
And stay tuned
Good, you
because
guys.
we want to try to buy. We're asking people to vote even through social media, but we want to maybe try to buy one of those 6 sculptures that are in
Right.
downtown
That's awesome.
and put it somewhere
Yeah.
in the city. Maybe
Love it.
probably not stay downtown, but you'll find another place in the
just
community.
anywhere. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
In your front
And
yard. I mean, I'm good with that.
well, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
we have one artsy thing in our front yard, and that's that was early in the stay-at-home orders. My wife decided she had to paint something, and
Okay.
found a piece of scrap wood and painted a "Just Smile and Wave" message
Oh, well,
that
that's
faces
nice.
2nd Street. So
That's
if you see
nice.
it and you see us on our porch,
I'm gonna
honk and wave
smile
at
and
us.
wave.
Yeah,
I will.
we would appreciate it.
Yeah.
What would you like to see more of in Lee Summit? What can we do better, I guess, to encourage people to love the artsy things?
Well, I think we're definitely heading in the right direction with the public art. And you know, I might be out of tune a little bit, so I don't know if we already have these type of things, but way back in the day, we would have like, you know, we can't really, with the COVID thing, Nick, it's kind of hard.
It ruins everything.
It does, but you know, getting kids involved in art, that was my main motivator to join the Arts Council. Because I've lived in Lee Summit over 20 years, and I had just stumbled upon that we had an Arts Council. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta get involved here. And we would do several different type of kids events. And I felt that it was something that kids that, you know, aren't as fortunate to have money to play sports, or, you know, their parents, just some of these, you know, things that they just don't have money to spend on, was another way for them to do something for free, basically. So we would have like chalk walks and things like that. But I would just love to see somehow to get kids involved in art, I would say would be one thing. And we could probably figure out a social distancing type of way to do that. But just, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right,
so
right.
if kids are not exposed to art, it could be your next Van Gogh, you know? So I'm all about introducing.
And even if they're not the next Van Gogh, and I'm going to use this.
Well, it's just something, if they're not exposed to it, they're never going to know how to do it. So I've always let my son play all kinds of sports, experiment with all different kinds of things, just so he knows it's something he could do if he wants to. So getting kids involved in art, and then we don't have God Art in downtown Lee Summit anymore. And it doesn't have to be downtown Lee Summit, but I don't know if we have a whole lot of places for local art. We've got the Maiden Lee Summit store. What is that?
Local Foundry.
Yes, thank you. I know there's a lot of great stuff in there. I know we've got, is it Maiden KC that's coming here to Lee Summit? I think.
I don't know. I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah, they are. Yes. So that's going to be coming here. I'm not quite sure where that's going to be. And then Kelly at Inspo's done some great things, and she's got some local artists in her store. So I'd like to see more of that pop up.
I think that would be good, and we're always looking for more things. I think you're right. There's a lot to the exposure of it, just making accessible that there are other things, and to do art and treat it kind of similar the same way we do our athletics. Right? Yeah. There's a thing you can go do this.
Right.
And it's and you had said what if they're the next Van Gogh, and I go back to what if they're not even I love art and I like to do art. I am absolutely horrible. I could not draw, paint something.
It's all relative, I think.
Right. But I mean, I'm not technically good at any of it. Right.
Right.
My son is the exact same way. I mean, we both have the same handwriting of a 3-year-old. But he loves art class.
Yes, that's great.
And he loves to try and draw. And it doesn't matter that it's technically not awesome.
Yes. Yeah. I think
he enjoys doing it. And I think I think that's important. Just the creative process,
Yes.
right, is
Mhm.
important for people to experience.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah. And there's so many different avenues. I mean, you don't have to really call it art. It's just kind of creativity or, just I feel like everybody has a creative bone in their body, whether they say they do or not.
Right. You can be creative. Look, I know math nerds who are creative, but they're
Yes.
creative in figuring out processes and things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Give
Um,
yourself a little more credit.
well, exactly. And why, in case my son, who is home right now for online academy, like heard me saying about his art there, I'm going to say this too, though. Now his creativity, he
Yeah.
has entire stories and movies and worlds living in
Sure.
his head that he's created, and he writes.
Yeah.
That's
See,
where he really
that's
puts it.
awesome.
But
Yeah.
I think just learning creative tools and processes and how to do things
Hmm.
is so helpful.
Yeah. It is.
And whether or not it's technically good, who cares?
Hmm.
Enjoy it, have fun. We do every once in a while as a family. We like to do the YouTube channel, the Art Hub. Have
Okay.
you seen that?
No, I
So it's a
haven't.
guy,
I'm
and
not a big YouTube person.
he has a YouTube channel, and it's huge. But he teaches and he uses his kids with him. So like
Oh,
one
that's
kid will
cool.
join him every time. Um, and it teaches you to draw things, but it's
Oh,
very
that's neat.
simplified for people like me,
Well, I'm
where
not a
it's
drawer
kind of
either. So
one,
yeah.
it's kind of one line or arc or draw at a time. And when you're done, all of a sudden you've like, hey, I drew a stormtrooper from Star Wars.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I have
um,
to look that
but
up.
but it's really a cool thing, and it's fun to do as a group. So as a family, we'll do it sometimes. Just sit down and you can hit pause to catch up or
Nice.
whatever. And
Yeah. That's very
but
cool.
just doing something relaxing and creative can be very, very helpful.
Well, sure. And it's kind of, I don't want to say sitting still, but it's just unplugged, you're just kind of, I guess if you do something on the computer, but still you're kind of going off in your own little zone.
Well, yeah, I think you're stepping away from all of the things that occupy us, whether
Right.
you're a kid or an
You're not
adult.
distracted. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're not watching the news. You're not doom scrolling through social media. You're not doing your homework. You're not working on your
Right.
job, your list of to-do
Yeah.
lists for your job. But it's just a little escape. And I
It is.
think adding that as one more thing that could be an escape is important.
Right. Yeah. Totally agree. Awesome.
So when we've talked about a few different art things that you like to do, but when you want to do that unplug, do you have a go-to? Is there a spot in your house and a thing that you're like, this is what I'm going to do for X minutes or whatever?
I do have to carve out time. And because I told you that my stuff's kind of all over my house, you might be like, I'm going to try this new thing. And it's usually an idea. I've always got ideas going in my head. I just constantly, I mean, I dream this stuff. It's just, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I got to do this. So it'll be, what if I do this and mix it with this and then pour it and then let's see what happens, So it's just kind of that, whatever I wake up that day, it could be fluid art, doing something with fluid art, but it could be me mixing that fluid art with some acrylic paint, with some resin, so there really isn't a go-to thing because I am all over the place. Like we're talking about bees, we talk about art. So yeah.
Are there many pictures of bees or paintings of bees or bee things throughout the house?
Yeah, all over the place. All over the place. Yes. I got a bee shirt on right now. I mean, not like overkill, not like a cat lady, crazy cat lady, Carol Baskin. I'm not a Carol Baskin with the bees, but bees make me happy. And I think they symbolize happiness when you're not afraid of them. I'm not afraid. So, it's just a happy, positive energy, positive vibes. That's kind of my thing. And when you talk about scroll of doom, I try not to get on. Only time I'm on social media really is to post something that I've done and just, share it. So I try to stay away and get caught up. I don't like all that stuff that, that goes on. So.
No, because I still want to have friends.
Yeah. Yes. I don't even, yeah, I can't even go there. You know,
Right.
you have friends that have completely different views on different things. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're friends. I'm like, yeah, doesn't fit in my little red wagon. So,
There we go. I like it. Well,
yeah.
I'm going to say this. You've given me a goal. I'm going to try not to be afraid of bees.
Yes.
That's one thing. And then as we wrap up here, I do have another question for you. This is important. You mentioned earlier that you like to just grab a glass of wine, turn on some music, and go do your art. What is the Hollie Stuhlman playlist? What music is on there while you're doing your art?
Okay. Well, I don't know if you're familiar with Sirius XM, but there is Chill. It's called Chill.
All right.
And it's kind of deep house, jazzy kind of just, oh my gosh, it just relaxes me. So there's that. And then we've of course got our first wave, which is all, you know, 80s alternative. So another one. And then, you know, depending on my mood, I go to the techno stuff. So I'll listen to some techno grooving, you know, stuff like that.
So much like your art, it's all over the place.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm consistent though. I'm consistently all over the place. So there you go.
Well, Hollie, if people want to see your art, they want to follow you, or they want to maybe find some art, where can they follow you and find you?
Sure. I'm on Instagram. It's beeuniquecreate. And I've also got some artwork at Kelly's Inspo, Kelly Langford Inspo in downtown Lee Summit off of 3rd Street. And she can find some stuff. You can find some stuff there. And then just get in contact with me. My info is out there. About Be Unique is also on Facebook. Sorry. Yeah, so you can find me there too. Facebook, beeuniquecreate.
Awesome. Well, Hollie Stuhlman, I appreciate you taking a little bit of time and coming on the show and talk to us about your art and arts in our community. And we look forward to seeing more of your stuff around. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. We'll talk soon.
We'll talk to everybody next time.
All right. Bye-bye.